Radio Free Tatooine presents Galactic War Report, a Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes podcast.
Boshuda, fellow Hollow Table Hustlers. You're tuned into Galactic War Report, a Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes podcast that's better than some and worse than others. I'm Sean, a.k.a. The Other Sean, and I'm flying solo tonight. Just me. It's let me set the stage and explain why it's just me. Josh is so frustrated with the game that, no. Josh is out camping with his family and having a great time, and I think it's, I don't know, wow. I think maybe I'm a bit of a sadist because I'm laughing at how incredibly hot and humid it is out there. Like terrible camping weather, awful. So I hope they're okay and staying cool and got like a little tent AC unit or something, glamping maybe they could glamp a bit. All right, and enough about that. What I want to talk about tonight, we've got some kind of interesting content that's come out. We know more about the raid, the Battle for Naboo Raid. So we're going to be talking about that tonight. I'm also going to kind of try to offer a little perspective, maybe, on what this raid needs to do and what our expectations are for the raid. And I know how pompous that sounds, what I need it to do, because, like, look, slight derailment here. Star Wars The Acolyte. That's got people... Some people love it, some people hate it, and neither of those opinions are correct, right? Like, I like it. I like it a lot. Other people hate it, and I've read a lot of opinions about why, and I'm like, that's cool. Like, all right, yeah, you're right. This thing doesn't make sense, or I can see your perspective there, whatever. At any rate, it's turned the fandom into this absurd place. It's scary, right? And so I only say that to say I know that my expectations are not going to dictate what this game does, right? But I do in this one, maybe it's different for me, you know, in this one situation, I feel like there is some merit to really looking at this a little critically, and I'll get into exactly why a little later. But before we do any of that, before we pick this game apart and get all cerebral, let's celebrate some Blurf days. All right, so this week has a few, actually. And as I'm looking at them, they're pretty darn good. Yeah. So on the 22nd, we've got Range Trooper turning 6 years old. We also have Captain Rex hitting 1 year. So like acceleration? Rexceleration? On the 23rd, we have Grand Inquisitor, 2 years old. And, you know, we were just talking before the show about, in Doth Chat, about how those Inquisitors, when they came out, you remember the Galactic challenges there? And it was Inquisitor, Inquisitor, Inquisitor. And if you didn't have them, it was just not fun. Well, we're in Gungan season now. And you know, we haven't had that many where you need Gungans compared to that. Or the Tusken Raiders. Like, there was I feel like, I don't know. Maybe this is anecdotal. I guess it is, because I didn't look up the numbers. But I feel like those were quite common compared to this Gungan one. But anyways, yeah, 26, we've got a triple Blurf day. It is Geo Brood Alpha, Negotiator, and Watt, because that Geo territory battle launched on the 26th. back in 2019. So 5 years ago since that came out. All right, let's take a look at this week's upcoming in-game events brought to you by SWGoH For a complete list of past, present, and future events, SWGoHevents.com is a universe of info in a galaxy of heroes. So on the 21st, as this launches, we'll have an Omega battle on Hoth, and we'll have a Galactic challenge as well. It's Friday, new Galactic challenge. It's not, as we record this, I say we, it's clearly just me. Just me and my little space heater. It's not in-game. Usually it is. We record this on Wednesday night, and we don't know yet what the Galactic challenge will be. I have to assume Gungans, right? Like they gave us an Omicron on these Gungans to do some things. Let's bring it on. On the 22nd, we have an assault battle. It's going to be Places of Power, as well as Grandmaster's Training Mythic event, too. The 23rd is going to bring Galactic Bounties 1. Not a big deal. But then the 24th, oh my golly, the 24th. So the 24th is Grand Arena Season 54, Week 2 sign up. It's also a new territory battle. Darkside or Rise of the Empire, of course, as well as an Omega battle on Endor. And then another Galactic challenge that we don't know the contents of that yet, which is normal for this far out. And that's going to be the end of Conquest. So that means Proving Grounds. That means, what's it called? Ultimate Journey events for making glorious country of Kazakhstan, whatever. Too many words. The 25th is going to give us an Admiral's Maneuver. That is the fleet mastery for the Radis. And then on the 26th, we'll have a Defense of Dathomir. And the 27th, we have a fleet mastery for Finalizer. So, pretty busy week. We got a couple assault battles in there. Conquest, mercifully wrapping up. We'll be done with that soon. Man, I'm struggling with that. We were talking last week about like, oh my goodness, these feats, they're so easy. And then I get into it, and I'm like, how do I get 35 kills with a Dark Trooper Moff Gideon? I don't think I can with my Datacrons. There's a lot of those feats that didn't look hard are sneaky. I'm having a tough time with some of those, but we'll talk about that in a bit. Yeah. Before we dive into the top stories, the raid, all that, I want to give a quick shout out to our fantastic Patreon supporters. If you enjoy what we do and you want to be a part of our exclusive community, which has gotten better this week, head over to patreon.com/Galactic War Report. Your support makes this podcast possible, and you even get access to a VIP section of our Discord server for some behind the scenes banter. It got better. Because now, patrons at the Jawa Engineer or higher level, that's $5 a month. Just a real quick little, hey, thanks, how do you do? $5 a month to be a Jawa Engineer. If you're at that level or higher, you now get your episodes of Galactic War Report one day early. So it'll show up Thursday morning instead of Friday morning. For now, the method is to just go to your Patreon page, and there will be a post there that you can see that others cannot. And you can play the podcast through that. We're working on getting an actual RSS feed, so you'll just pop it in your Apple Podcasts or your Spotify or however you're listening. But yeah, that's a really cool thing. I've been wanting to do that for a long time, and it's finally real. All right. Let's talk about this news here. The big thing is the battle for Naboo Raid. So we got a post from CG, kind of from Meathead, going over some of the details about this raid, how it's going to work, what we can expect. Of course, the caveat that this is all subject to change, as it should be, right? I want this thing to be good when it comes out. So let them tinker. If they got to tinker, let them tinker. And when it comes out, if it's not good, let them tinker some more. I want them messing with it and making this thing perfect. Okay, so Naboo, we knew a lot about it, right? It's going to be Phantom Menace themed on Naboo. Now we've got a full list of allowed characters. We have some of the details of how different factions, different bonuses that factions will be getting, and then also what the different tiers are going to look like, which is a little different from past raids. There's a Relic 9 only tier. Let's start with that. A Relic 9 only tier. I know, like, the game has been out for, 8 years now? 8.5 years? And so the goalposts have to move, right? So it used to be Relic 7 was like the highest tier or whatever, and then it's 8. And now there is going to be an exclusive Relic 9 level tier, which means we're going to be seeing full Relic 9 Gungan teams a lot. That's going to be the standard for as many Relic 8 Jabba teams as you see. We're going to see that many Relic 9 Gungan teams now. So get ready for that. Yeah. It's kind of a heartbreak because it takes away a bit of a lot of the agency in who you relic, right? If you have to take an entire team to Relic 9, I don't have any teams at Relic 9. I have plenty of characters at Relic 9, but I don't have any full Relic 9 teams. If you now have to do that, then people are not going to be like, I'm not going to take Lord Vader to Relic 9. I think I have him at Relic 9. That's a terrible example. But Jabba's not going to Relic 9. It's just never going to happen. Starkiller. Nope. Who else? Terran Malicos. I will not be taking him to Relic 9. I can't. We're going to have whole teams required at Relic 9. So, all right. Anyways, the multiplier's good on that, though, right? Like, it's a 12x multiplier for that tier. Basically, I'm not going to get into the minutia of every little effect, right? But, like, for instance, I will for level 1, all right? So enemies gain 20% accuracy, crit avoidance, crit chance, crit damage, defense penetration, offense, potency, tenacity, and 10,000 health and 10 speed. Okay, cool. And then at level 2, that increases to 40% and 20,000 health, right? And every one of these has some extra boosts there, but the score multiplies, so you get more stuff out of it. You go up against bigger pains in the butt, but you get bigger booty from it, so to speak. And that's fine. And they also introduce new actual abilities, right? Like the recharge and the die Jedi dogs for stab. That inflicts additional damage over time or whatever. Like, so very similar to like the Crate Raid, where you would get different abilities with your characters. With your Tuskens would get a different ability at a certain tier or whatever. that kind of stuff. And it just goes up and up and up. But, I mean, you look at the difference between the Relic 8 tier, which is level 6. I hate this naming convention. Level 6 is Relic 8. And it's a score multiplier of 9 versus a score multiplier of 12 for Relic 9. So I don't want to say that you have to Relic up all these Relic 9 teams, because at the end of the day, you look at the current raid. Do we all have Relic 8 Logres? No. But we all have Relic 8 or higher Leias. If you have a Leia, you take her to Relic 8. You just do that. So, I don't know. I guess maybe it's not as big of a deal as I was fearing, but we'll see. So, the full character list, let's get into it. We knew about Gungans, right? But there's hero character bonuses. These characters are going to have plus 25% max protection and offense and plus 20% mastery. And whenever these characters inflict a debuff, they recover 10% health and protection and gain 10% defense and offense stacking for one turn. This is going to be Jar Jar, Master Qui-Gon, Padawan Obi-Wan, Darth Maul, and Stab. All right. Sure. Stab. All right. So the allowed characters are them. Plus, you got the rest of the Gungans, Nass, Tarpals, Boomadir, Phalanx. You got Queen Amidala, no surprise. R2, totally makes sense. A whole mess of Jedi. Basically every Jedi that's in Phantom Menace. So Mace, Consular, because sure, why not? I'm not taking him to Relic 9. That is not happening. Keller and Beck. Okay. Ethkoth, yikes. Grandmaster Yoda, Plo Koon, Ki-Adi-Mundi, Aayla Secura, Shakti, Luminara, Kit Fisto, OG Qui-Gon Jinn. Now, the Separatists here are interesting. We had Stap, right? Also, B1 Battle Droid, Newt Gunray, B2 Battle Droid, Droidica, IG-1000 Magna Guard, or IG-100, sorry. IG-100 Magna Guard, and Darth Sidious. It almost all makes sense, except for that Magna Guard. Like, I get why you don't want Grievous in here, because A, he could be kind of broken. Let's be honest. He's a powerful character. He's a little complicated. I could see him just being maybe just not a good fit for the raid. Cool. And B, he wasn't in the Phantom Menace, so that makes sense, right? But Magna Guard? Like, there were no Magna Guards in Phantom Menace either, so that just seems odd. I don't ultimately care too much, but I thought I'd point that out. So, yeah, that's what we've got. We also know about some faction bonuses, as far as like Gungans get, like when the shield generator uses the plasma pulse, they all get foresight, and someone gains a bonus turn. All the enemies are inflicted with plasma residue. Ew. And then Separatists have one, Galactic Republic have one. It's interesting. I like it. I saw a lot of talk online, and I don't think of these things because I'm an old school player. Like I've been at it since the start, right? So sometimes I miss other players' perspectives. But Ki-Adi-Mundi is required. No, I'm sorry. He's not required. He's not required. He's an allowed character for this. And I saw someone on Reddit talking about it. It generated a discussion about, like, when are you going to stop torturing us with this, with Ki-Adi-Mundi? Because now he's required for this raid. And I kind of forget that he is still very, very hard to unlock. Like, a lot of us went through that years ago. So it's kind of in the rear view. We don't think about it. But yeah, that is, he's very hard to unlock for how okay he is. So yeah, I think there is something to be said for you gotta make him a little easier to get now, like a little bit. But at the same time, he's not required for the raid. He is an allowed character. So we may, as we kind of theory craft this, we may find out he's awesome in the raid. So it does kind of feel like he's required. I don't know. We'll find out. But I'm excited for it. I'm hopeful that it's really good. I want to take a look here also at something I saw on Reddit. This is from John, or some say Aegon, that posted this chart that I thought was kind of neat of Naboo Raid characters and their existing relic requirements for journeys. Because this is kind of going into the raid. If you haven't put in the extra work specifically for raid teams, like, where do your characters sit, right? Like, no one has their ETH Koth ready for this. Right? Almost, I should say. I'm sure some people do. But you look at Relic 8, and I'm gonna say we all a lot here. And I know that I don't mean we all. I just mean a lot of players. We have R2 and Grandmaster Yoda at Relic 8. So those guys, they're ready for like the second to highest tier. You bring it down to Relic 7 level, and most of us, I don't like these words, but a lot of us, I'll say, have Sidious, Darth Maul, Nute Gunray, Shaak Ti, and Kelleran Beck at Relic 7, because that's where you got to have them for one thing or another. Relic 5 is a little interesting because then you have Mace and Kit Fisto, which have a special mission, or no, it's a combat mission in Rise of the Empire. So some are going to have that. A lot of those Separatist droids are going to be Relic 5 because they were in a Lightspeed bundle. The Gungans are going to be Relic 5 or higher because that's what you need for Jar Jar. So I think that's an interesting kind of breakdown. A lot of these other characters you maybe don't need in Relics at all, but we're going to see a lot of relics being added to them. I think I'm gonna have to relic someone that I really don't want to for this, I'm sure. But yeah, let me talk for a second. Let me just get up. God, where's my soapbox? And talk about this raid, because I do think that we need to look at where the game is and where the game could be, and think about what this raid means and how this raid gets us there. So I'll just come right out and say I have had a kind of hard time this last week with Galaxy of Heroes. And I say that because I've seen a trend in the game that kind of bothers me, and it doesn't just bother, like, a piece of content usually doesn't really get to me, but a trend in content does, right? So let's look at some current PvE content. We've all talked about this. There's so much to do in the game right now, right? We're always running Grand Arena, Conquest, territory battles, raids, galactic challenges, on top of whatever your grind is, right? And I mean, the grind is, sim, whatever. But there's a lot going on, and a lot of times it kind of alternates. Like this week, we're going to end Conquest as a territory battle begins, and that's good, right? But sometimes it's not. Sometimes you got all that stuff in one day. Galactic challenges pop on Monday. Territory battles pop on Monday. Conquests Monday. It all hits on Monday, right? So sometimes Monday is just straight up frustrating. And I get the incentive. CG wants us to play the game. They want us to spend time playing the game. I understand that. And it's all kind of like this cat and mouse kind of, I see you've given me new content, but check it out. I beat it first try, or I figured out how to auto it, and whatever. Like, you're kind of competing with CG in a healthy way. Like, that's how the game works. You're either competing against another player or guild, or you're going against the stuff that they've made that, you know, that they've put in there to challenge you. Now, I specifically want to call out Galactic challenges. They are, they're too much. I'll just say it. They are too much. What used to be just kind of like a fun little thing that would pop up every, twice a week, now has turned into something that requires extensive planning every single time, and a lot of frustration. And Conquest, on top of that, like when you have a day where you do a few Conquest battles and just get smoked before you take a turn, and then you go into Galactic challenges and you just get absolutely demolished, it starts to feel a little different. And I know we've all been there, and I think that feeling that way is natural too. And in a good game, you're going to feel frustrated sometimes. But I've seen a trend of particularly Galactic challenges, but as I was playing Conquest, I was like that Luthen battle, that boss. I know he's the boss of Sector 5. That should be tough. But come on. I mean, it does feel like every single piece of new PvE content that comes out is a pain in the butt. Not a challenge, a chore. And that scares the heck out of me, because we're moving into a new raid that comes on the heels of the least popular raid. I don't know, Challenge Pit was not very popular either. But we all know, like Speeder Bike Pursuit, I'm not trying to throw shade. I'm not trying to kick it while it's down or anything like that. It didn't have the... when it came out, it was just derided universally. Everyone, I wrote a blog about it, and I didn't end up publishing it because I was like, you know what? All these other YouTubers and stuff, they already said what what needed to be said. So coming off those heels, I want this raid to be really, really good. And it may just, it may just be that, and this fear of mine is nothing. But it might not. So, I mean, the thing is, you have this difference. And I remember years ago we had I'm Not Really a Jedi on our show, and he talked about the fine line between frustration and challenge, right? And the kind of figuring out a puzzle versus just like being too frustrating. And as much as I love the Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes community and the content community here too, there's so many people that put out quality videos that I watch a lot, and I enjoy watching them. It's cool. I like supporting that. But every time a Galactic challenge comes out, I have to go to YouTube. Like, that's a bit much. And I mean, if you want to immerse yourself in a thing, immerse yourself in it. But like, we're at a point now where every new piece of content that comes out in this game, people just struggle. And even once I figure out the method, there's so much RNG that it's a mess. And I get that I just sound like a whiny little baby. I totally get that. And I debated even talking about this in the show. But the reason I feel this is so important is that I quit this game a few years back. And I was super frustrated about some kind of similar things that I was noticing trends of power creep. Power creep was my bigger thing back then. And that's still, I hate, but it is what it is. Like, that's not going away. Galaxy of Heroes is now a very complex and very intricate. Like, I respect the heck out of these kits that they make. They are impossibly detailed, and so much thought has gone into them. But the problem is so much thought has to continue to go into how to use them every time you use them because they're so complex. That said, the content can't be that complex too. Because when the characters are just paragraph upon paragraph upon paragraph, and you need a technical manual to understand how your team works, and then you take that into all this maelstrom of content that's flowing at you, and every piece of content is also completely complicated and way too just like cognitive load. Can we talk about this for a second here? I want to talk just a second about cognitive load. Too much information can just overwhelm cognitive resources, right? You can just shut down when too much information comes. Like we talk about, like drinking from the fire hose, right? And that's what every single event feels like for me. So that's a concern of mine. It's also just, like I said, I quit this game a few years ago, and I don't want this to sound like a threat. Like, I'm going to quit if this raid is bad. It's not that. But as someone who has experienced, who has seen what their breaking point is, I have seen and crossed that breaking point before. And I came back for a lot of reasons, because at the end of the day, I want the game to be good, and I love the game, and I'm never going to say, oh, this game's terrible. Actually, I do say this game's terrible all the time, but I don't mean it, in the heat of the moment. You say a lot of mean things about video games, but I have seen my breaking point. I have crossed it, and I'm starting to see that point nearing me again. Nearing me? I'm nearing it, whatever. I'm getting closer to it, and I don't like that feeling. Not in this game. This game is too good for that. So, my fear is that this raid is going to continue this trend of new content has to be more and more insane and more punishing than the last. And I just don't feel like we can afford to have a mistake like that in this game right now. Mistakes happen, but those kind of mistakes where it's just constant, like you can control that. You don't, please don't give us a bad raid. Please. So to sum it up, the game needs to be enjoyable without feeling like a chore. I know there's a lot to do, and we call it the grind, right? But we need to have this kind of like cumulative like difficulty of content that we need to take a good look at this and say, could this be like maybe a bit too much? Could we maybe be doing a little bit too much right now. When there's so much going on, it can't all be this challenging. Have some challenging stuff. Have some crazy challenging stuff. But we can't have a territory battle that's kicking our butts on top of conquest, on top of a raid. Picture this raid every single week being a massive just brick wall that you're banging your head against every week. Say what you will about speeder bike pursuit, it doesn't take mental resources. We have our teams. We know what we're doing. We get in there. It doesn't take multiple runs unless you hit a wrong button in the Leia run. So with that, I will sum it up, wrap it up. That's what I got. I would love to hear what you all think. Check us out on Discord. There's a link in the show description. Or if you're on YouTube, the description on there also has a link to our Discord. But yeah, hop in there. I'd love to hear what your thoughts are. What are your breaking points? And what are your suggestions for maybe getting the game away from those breaking points and back into just pure fun? And maybe, tell me, maybe I'm just overreacting and being a little baby. I don't know. So anyways, all right, let's move along. That's the most long-winded segment I've ever done. God, that would have been awful if Josh was here. He'd just be sitting there like, shut up, dude. All right, so let me talk for a second about Conquest, how it's going. Obviously, I said what I said about Luthen. That battle, it was awful. I got all the key cards out of it, but oof. That said, I'm at 508 out of the 630 required for a max crate. And I really thought I'd be further along here. I thought there's no way I'm going to have an issue with these feats. And here I am having an issue with these feats. Oh man, I'm close. So I need 122 still, basically. Like, I'm going to get that royalty one too, or noble one that gives you no key cards but gives you the title. I'm going to do it because it's stupid. I have 1 out of 3 completed. I think I did it like the first day or something. I feel like I got the wrong data discs. I have a lot of Zealous Ambition, which goes a long way. It's gotten me here. And there's a couple more that I'm close on. So I'm not terribly worried, but I'm kind of like, hey, man, Dark Trooper Moff Gideon's not going to happen. And that's where you get one key card and Booming Voice, and then you turn around with Booming Voice and earn 15 key cards off that one. So that's a drag. The only other global one that I'm still working on is the Jedi Knight Cal. Defeat 35 enemies with him, and I've done 30, so we're almost done. But we're chugging along. I just man, I wish I would have picked some different cards. I got one Amplify Agony, but I feel like I don't have like the survivability ones. So like the things where you need adapt or die 50 times. Man, I can pull that move off one time and then everything dies. So I get 5 if no one died beforehand. But I mean, that's 10 battles right there. I don't know, man. So we're working on it. I guess, I'll go over my Grand Arena. We just started, so I only have 1 round. But I logged in, and my guy put up, like 1780, I think. And I thought, I'm going to mess this up. I'm absolutely going to mess this up. I streamed it. It's on Twitch. It should be on YouTube by the time this podcast launches, too. It was a fun battle. I cleaned their clock, really, until ships. And then I swear, I am the stupidest player in the world when it comes to ships. If I can mess it up, I'm going to. I utterly failed with my Chimera versus Leviathan. I don't think I took a single ship out. No, I didn't. So then you go in with a preloaded Leviathan. And somehow with my Leviathan, even though they were preloaded, I was able to take them out. I think I focused on the bomber and they kept spreading their attacks. So once the bomber went down, I was able to one by one take them out. But yeah, so I got a win in my first week, and we'll see what else I can do. I don't know. There's normally a great transition here, right? A really good transition, where we play around like we don't know what we're going to ask each other. We don't know where the conversation's going, and then boom, we ask each other who we're grinding. It's just me, so no games. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to play with your emotions like that. I'm just going to tell you. I am grinding some characters that I forgot to update. Yes! I've got Amidala and Padawan. I've got it open. That's fine. I've got Padawan Obi-Wan and Master Qui-Gon in my favorites. Can't really do much with them at the moment. I will say I got Stap from Gear 12 up to Relic 3. So that feels good. I mean, it was kind of like a combination of my OCD of wanting to get it done combined with it's a raid character. So I'm going to want that. So that's done. Raven's Claw, I took from 74 out of 100. I think I got one blueprint. Let's see. Oh no, 79 out of 100. Cool. I haven't been focusing on it, but neat. Night Sister Spirit, I was done with her last week. Sounds like a rough breakup. My Gungans are really the thing. Boss Nass went from Relic 1 up to Relic 4. You'd think with additive drops for signal data that I would make some big progress. I really did not, because what are those drop rates? Oh my goodness. Phalanx I took from 56 out of 85 up to 81 out of 85. Booma was already 81 out of 85 and is now 18 out of 100. Tarples was 11 out of 100 and now is Gear 12, just finishing up the last couple of pieces there. I think I only got one Zeta, probably. Yeah. Master Qui-Gon got his Zeta. I figured, whatever. You get it. You know. Datacrons I'm doing so-so, but like you'd think either you would be doing really well with feats at this point. As I record, there's like 4 days and 12 hours left. You'd think that I'd be doing really well with feats or Datacrons, but there's another option. What if I'm kind of struggling with both right now? Fortunately, I have like all the big Datacrons that are available right now. So it's just kind of like leveling up some more, getting a few more of those level 3 bonus health and protection. Like, I got a little bit of work to do with that, but yeah, we got to worry about those feats first. So that's all we got for you this week. May not be the best advice, but at least we didn't recommend you give us a bad raid. I swear, if you give us a bad raid. If you want to continue the conversation, join our Discord server. It's linked in the show description. You can become a real live Jawa by supporting us on Patreon. And share your thoughts by leaving us a podcast review. Big thanks also go out to Pabu Appa and SWGoH.gg and SWGoHevents.com for providing all the hard data we misinterpret weekly. Thanks for tuning in, and may the Force and RNG be with you.